Hello there, everybody. How are you doing today? And it is Wednesday. My goodness, this week has been crazy for me. I want you guys to know that today, the employee group that I created, we did our very first webinar and it was a smashing success. So I'm very excited about that. But I have another presentation to do about it to basically the people who do all the hiring in our company, and that is on Friday. And yesterday I was part of another company-wide type thing where we were present in that too. So it's been stressful and other stuff going on. And Taylor, you will appreciate this. I basically wrote up something for my team because we're required where I work to submit something as part of our goal that's supposed to be innovative. And it's very confusing. It's very ill-defined and it's pretty crazy. And I looked at the form that people were supposed to fill out. And I'm like, this doesn't look like the online form at all. And there's like no explanation whatsoever. So I basically revised the entire form for my team. And I wrote an explanation of everything because I'm like, I just can't with this because all of this is just, none of it makes sense to me. None of it at all. And, these are people who are allegedly supposed to be instructional designers. However, a lot of them are not actually trained in instructional design. I actually have a fucking degree in it, And so I find things very irritating sometimes. It's like, can we just actually do things that people are trained in this? Just saying. Got all the books, got the fancy degree and everything, but, don't listen to me. Not like I actually know anything. So anyhow, today we're back at it and we're going to be talking a bit about Beachbody, but we're also kind of bringing it about to something else because I'm kind of wondering, this whole thing with Beachbody, do you really think it's going to be around, in 5 years? You also have an education and ID, but it's frustrating when many teams do not. Yep. And when people higher up than you don't, it's very annoying. And I'm just like, okay, I literally told somebody today, it's like, obviously you don't want my opinion and you want everything just to be, passed along as, sunshine and rainbows. So I'm like, fine, I'll just do that. They'll say everything's great. And I told somebody else, I'm like a friend of mine, I'm like, maybe I just need to give everybody their snack and a blanket. And, they can go take their little nap and put a little sticker on them. Because, that's what basically we're doing is like, we're not actually doing what we're said that we're going to do. We're just going to be like, we're just playing pretend land. It's like, okay, I can play pretend, but this is bullshit. And so anyway, and so I'm like, I get to a point where I've just had it and I was done. I literally left a meeting in the middle of it and I said, I am done. And I just left because I'm like, I couldn't deal with it anymore. I let my manager know and everything, but I know she'll have my back because she actually agreed with me on everything that I had already said. Because I'd already told her about all this bullshit, beforehand anyway. So there we go. I mean, what can I say? I can take a lot of stuff, but I do reach a point where I'm like, you know what? I am tired of all this pushing because I'm pushing back because this is just fucked up. And so I kind of lost it. But I have been under a lot of pressure with all the stuff that I'm doing this week for this, group thing that I have created. So not a good time to fuck with me. Just not a good time, So I'm looking at the BODi stock. It closed, it looks like at 701. So it's gone up a little bit. It's just amazing. Now, granted, the year ranges from 514 to 1131. So we're not talking like, huge or anything. But I'm sure Carl is sitting around stroking himself thinking like, oh, look at how great we're doing. It's just so fabulous. Isn't Violet? You're absolutely right. It does. So let me say hi to all y'all because I'm just like babbling and all this shit, So hello there, Violet. How are you doing, Magical Nev? It's so nice to see you. being lectured on technology by someone that can hardly open Outlook. Oh my God, right? Oh my gosh. And there was something that somebody did, and I'm like, okay, so basically this is a feature that already exists in PowerPoint, but you're explaining it to someone, but you're calling this an innovation. It's not an innovation. It's not a tool. If it was like actually like original code, or if you took open source and then you created something from open source, I could get down with that. But this, what you're calling, no, it's not. It's not. So Magical Neb, I feel for you, because I'm right there with you, but in a different sort of a way. Hello, Jelly Snack. How are you, my love? The fact that they pedaled back the Porsche from right, if they hyped it up. Yep. Hello there, Half Moon, and you're from Canada. Thank you so much for joining. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. And Taylor, nice to see you again. And DTI and Joe, I'm so glad you're here as well. And I know this is the, I think it was last week I was going to do this one, and then I did something else. So you guys were like over here, and then I started streaming something else. So we're back to this one that I was going to be talking about. And I don't know if I have everything pulled up, because, I've slept since then. But I do have a document that I am going to be talking about, because something interesting happened, and there's this opening. And I just think Carl could like snake his way into it. Because let's face it, I mean, Beachbody is just not going to be around, especially with all of these top Huns jumping ship and, going other places, as we all knew they would. I mean, who in the hell is going to stick around for his bullshit, after they had been basically collecting a paycheck for, just scratching their asses for years and not doing shit, and everybody at the bottom, hustling and hustling. I mean, come on. But, it just goes to show you, once again, they never actually had their own company, did they? Even though he even told them that they were business owners, but they weren't. They were never business owners. But he was. He's the one calling the shots. He's the one making decisions. And I think he's made some poor decisions. I think he should have gotten out of this shit a long time ago. But nope, he was just holding onto it. And I would say for one reason and one reason only, and it starts with a G and ends with a D. And let me see, Wall Street, there's a character that used this word and said it's good. Can you guys guess what word it is? Can you guess the word that I'm thinking of? If you can, drop it on in the chat. Let me know what you think I'm thinking about. One word. Has Carl been? Yep, he has. He is the CEO of it. I actually did an entire video on his backstory. He actually has a background like in film and stuff. And so that's why it was like really easy for him to get involved in doing all of these infomercials and stuff, which I can't remember all of that. And I do not have my external drive that has all the documents that I pulled together for that particular video or anything. But yeah, it just really, when I looked into his background, it really made sense in terms of how he put those things together and initially marketed things of what he did. It just made a lot of sense. Thank you, Gordon Gecko. Greed is good. Yep, that is it. That is exactly why I think that Carl has hung on to this and is still hanging on to it. It is out of greed and nothing more, nothing less. And I also think that for a lot of the top Huns too, because I mean, imagine if you don't have to do dick all and you're going to be collecting a paycheck. And there's people at the very bottom that are just running around like crazy little chickens, just, trying to do all the things. Meanwhile, they're having no results, but they're following the trainings that you put together, which are crap shit to begin with. But I digress on that. Yeah. And they're trying to do it on. They're wondering like, well, why isn't it working for me? It's like, well, it's oversaturated. And you're looking at stuff that, worked 10 years ago. They have no idea what works today, and they're trying to pretend like they know, but they don't. And they're just making it because they've been around since what, 2008 or some shit like that. That's the only reason. You know, they're big names within the bubble, but outside of that, nobody knows who the fuck these people are. And they don't care either. And not only that, they would not be able to stand up with other people running actual businesses, in my opinion. Now, I know some of them have created little things and they're seeing success, but who's buying their poop? It's going to be people who are connected with network marketing and probably Beachbody coaches. It's not people outside of that. So they've been riding that wave. And now all of a sudden, what are they going to do? Just what are they going to do? They're all SOL and go like, oh, holy crap. It's been taken away. And they were probably not expecting it. At least, I mean, in my world, I guess in my mind right now, I just hope they weren't expecting it. And they got just kind of like taken by surprise. And they're like, holy shit. I really hope that was it. So anyway, what happened, and I don't remember the actual date of this because one of my informers sent me the email that went out about this. And I copied and pasted and put it over on a Word document. And so we'll be looking at it over there. But it's fairly recent. So you guys are probably familiar. Hello, Ronnie. How are you doing? Thank you very much for the pink hand wavings. You know, I just love me some pink hand wavings. And whatever your little avatar thing is, it's pretty cute. Very colorful. I like it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Star Trek symbol thing, but different and more colorful. Anyway, so I don't remember exactly when this happened, but it's fairly recent. So you may be familiar with the Direct Selling Association. Raise your hand. Like, you know, good little students, good little people in the chat. Throw down an emoji. I don't give a shit what kind of emoji it is. But if you're familiar with the Direct Selling Association, you've heard of it somewhere, let me know. Because there's been a shakeup. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. There's been a shakeup. You haven't heard of it, Taylor? You gotta be kidding me. Surely you're pulling my leg. You got to be pulling my leg. Got to be pulling my leg on that one. Surely you're sarcastic. So anyway, there's this guy, this dude, Joe, who's been the president of it for a bazillion years. And he's stepping down. And I'm like, huh, for real, you haven't? Oh, holy shit. Well, welcome to what it is. Oh my gosh. Well, let me pull it up because Beachbody is part of it. They basically, they lobby for multi-level marketing and stuff. They have all kinds of things. Let me just at least pull it up over here. I'm going to move it over here so you can see it. Okay. Share my screen. Here's the Direct Selling Association. And let me remove myself so you guys can maybe see it. Okay, so here we are. We have membership, consumer protection. Here's the thing. They do have part of it where they're like, we're self-regulating. We're regulating ourselves. You're part of the problem because you guys are going and lobbying Washington about MLMs and shit. Their code of ethics and all of this crap have membership. And let's look at the member company. Surely there's a list here. And I don't have let's see. Do we have a list of them? I was hoping we did. Salesforce programs. Oh, here we got some. Okay. Look, Amway. A lot that I haven't heard of, but we have New Skin, For Life. Usana. There's a lot more than that. I'm sure Beachbody is part of it. I don't know if I can look it up or not. See, we advocate on behalf of our member companies and the sales channel. And when he's talking about the sales channel, that is basically, network marketing, MLM, direct sales. I mean, they're basically one and the same. And that's what this is. It's a great big company, and they all are, about like, this is just a fabulous type thing. It's just fabulous. And there's all of these things going on. And I have not been in here. Let me see. There's compliance certification, educational programs, which is quite scary because they will give awards to people. And some of these awards will go to, and I think it is the DSEF that gives out educational awards to like professors and stuff. And then they will end up teaching janky shit in their marketing classes about MLMs and shit. I don't know if there's any more stuff here. Advocacy resources, industry research downloads, all kinds of stuff. Let's see. Direct sellers are defined as independent contractors, which we all know that. All 50 states recognize direct sellers as independent contractors. Yes, we know this. So your support of a specific direct seller definition for unemployment compensation will provide clarity and consistency to the business community and regulators. Will it? I don't know about that. Consumer downloads. Let's see. Are there anything over here good? I was really hoping to find, the Code of Ethics Compliance Report. And I'm not going to do a whole thing here on the DSA. But basically, tons and tons of MLMs have, joined this. Let's see here. The standard for accountable marketplace, as if protecting consumers. No, it's more about protecting these companies, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, we can look at this more at another time, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea there, Taylor. But they like to pretend like they're all ethical and everything, but in my opinion, they're not. Pyramid schemes confuse consumers by masquerading as direct selling companies. Well, they all kind of look like they're that. They all do. I'm pretty sure that, where can I find out is who are members of the DSA? I'm going to Google. I'm seeing, here we go. Let's see. All right. Isn't that? Here we go. Oh, these are just different types. I'm sorry. I was search members. I wonder if I can search and see organization name. Beach. And there we go. We have BODi. See, is a member of it. So there, you will find if you go here that it's just basically a ton of these types of companies. There you have it. So hopefully that helps. Is Onpassive in it? No, Pure Romance. I'll see if you guys want me to check others. but I'm pretty sure Onpassive is not. Because, you know, they'd actually have to pay something. And do you think Ash would do that? Nope, not there. Pure Romance. Pure Romance is not. But I will put in, let's see, Herbalife. Herbalife is there. As you can see, one DSA member matches your criteria. There you go. You were joking, Joe? You know I'm going to look shit up, dude. You should know me by now. If you ask a question, I'm like, okay, I'll find out. You should know that. I love Joe to pieces. He's such a good egg. Such a good egg. He is such a good guy. He's been around with me for a long, long time. Okay. So right. So I'm going to just read this to you. If I can actually find it. Okay. Dear DSA friends and colleagues, I wanted to share the personal news I announced last week at the DSA Board of Directors meeting. I've attached the press release regarding my departure from DSA next year. I hope and trust that as the association team here in Washington continues to work with me on behalf of this great business, we will have the opportunity to speak together. Nilo Life, I'll check in a moment, Jelly. As always, don't hesitate to contact me if you have any needs or questions. With best wishes. Joe really doesn't like people like myself that speak out against, you know, these types of companies. For immediate release, Washington, D.C., September 24th, 2024. Okay, well, there's the date when this happened. So, you know, mystery solved. Direct Selling Association President and CEO Joseph Mariano, however the hell you say his last name, announced today he will leave DSA in 2025 after 40 years of serving the association in various capacities, including as president since June 2011. 40 years. Mariano will continue to fulfill the duties of the president and CEO in the coming months while actively supporting transition for the next leader of the association. That's where Carl comes in. I can totally see Carl being the snake that he is, just slithering his way into this type of position. The DSA Executive Committee has begun a search for the next president. Carl, have they called you up? Have you heard from them? Because they might. Because you'll probably be looking for a job. You should be looking for a job because you know Beachbody, BODi, whatever the hell you want to call it, you know it's not going to be lasting. So you might want to jump on this. Maybe you should call Joe up. I'm sure you're good buddies. I'm sure you have buddy pictures. Let him know. Hey, I'll do that. It has been one of the greatest privileges to work alongside you on behalf of millions of direct sellers, Mariano said in a letter to his colleagues on the DSA and DSEF staffs and the DSA Board of Directors. After almost 14 years as president, it's time for someone else to bring his or her gifts or grifts to this awesome role to build upon the important work we do in the service of direct selling. The service, There is still much to be done over the next months, and I am committed to working with the same passion, energy, and dedication that I have over the past 40 years. On behalf of the DSA Executive Committee and the entire DSA membership, I would like to thank Joe for his 40 years of unwavering commitment to our industry, said Danny Lee, board chair of DSA and president and CEO of For Life which is an MLM incorporated. His advocacy on behalf of direct sellers has always been marked by a commitment to do the right thing for all parties with equanimity and effectiveness. Joe is a wonderful example of servant leadership. Oh my gosh, I cannot stand seeing that servant leadership gag. Did I go up? I went up too far. Dang it. I don't have my thing here. Is that for booksellers? Joe's a wonderful example of servant leadership, of handling the sometimes difficult task of balancing various interests with poise and fairness. Joe has led the association during a period of economic and social change, regulatory scrutiny, and changes to our selling model. I am truly and personally grateful for his leadership and friendship during times of opportunity, change, and challenge for direct selling. Now, that's the whole thing, is that they're just bitching by the fact that, like, there's been, I guess, letters sent out about the DSA involving income claims and also involving product claims and stuff like that. And, they're upset about that. And they're upset about the fact that there's people like myself who are speaking out about this shit. They don't like any of that. And they don't like that, there is the conference that we have each year, MLM, the Consumer Protective Challenge. They don't like that because there's a lot of people talking smack about it and having, data to back up what they're saying. During his 40 years at DSA, Joe was responsible for on-the-ground advocacy in cities, states, in Washington, D.C., and globally, co-authoring legal briefs for the United States Supreme Court, as well as other federal and state courts. And that is something that is irritating because so much about this industry is misunderstood. And one of the biggest things is the churn rate, is the fact that those who join are the customers. There's no one outside of the bubble who is like, just can't wait to get hold of these products. That's because there's no competition for them. There's no fair competition for any of this. It's only the people who, are involved in it. Co-author, thank you, Jelly Snack Lobbying, yep. Violet, what a hero, yep. Co-authoring comments to regulatory agencies on behalf of direct sellers on independent contractor taxation, business opportunities, and consumer protection issues. Oh, yeah, he's so concerned about protecting consumers, so very concerned. Serving as media spokesperson on behalf of direct selling with major media outlooks, including the Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and NBC television. Don't you guys see how Carl could fit in with all of this? Can't you see Carl going around and just, spinning lies and just spitting bullshit? Because he's been spitting nothing but bullshit for years when it comes to Beachbody / BODi or whatever, in my opinion. Speaking to tens of thousands of individual direct sellers and other audiences, highlighting the importance of direct selling to communities and the country. I'm sorry, the country doesn't need companies like Herbalife, Amway, LuLaRoe, Beachbody, Pure Romance, Nilo Life, Onpassive. I mean, it just goes on and on. And I can't think of all of them. Lavelle Thrive. We don't need all of this. We just don't. And yet he's saying that they're so important. No, they're not, because most people are not making a dime. They're losing money. And that's exactly what the FTC concluded in their little thing that they published earlier this year, looking at 70 income statements, which I will get to that because I actually have an article that my friend David Brer did respond to that. David runs the blog MLM, The American Dream Made Nightmare. He's over in the UK, and David is, he's a a no bullshit kind of a dude. And I absolutely adore David. He's just a real down to earth kind of a guy. And he just doesn't put up with bullshit. And not everybody likes David. A lot of people don't like David. But for my first year in dealing with all this stuff, we spoke, like I think I've told you guys, like almost every single day. Working to ensure that all association activities serve the mutual interests of the public and direct sellers. Yeah, I'm so sorry, but I really don't see that any of the public's interests were actually served by any of this, because you just want people to think that joining these things actually is like a viable opportunity that where people can actually make a dime. And that's just a big old flat hell no. That's just no. Most people don't. Very few do. And you know that. Maintaining the association's financial stability through periods of both economic growth and decline. And I think we're in a decline right now. Joe began his DSA career as a junior attorney and soon assumed roles in every aspect of association programs, including education, research, communications, human resources, administration, and technology. His roles included Director of Government Relations, Vice President, and Executive Vice President, as well as serving as President of the Direct Selling Education Foundation. Joe began his career at DSA after earning his undergraduate degree in International Affairs and Political Science from Towson University and law degree from the University of Maryland. About the Direct Selling Association. For more than a century, the U.S. Direct Selling Association, DSA, has served as the national trade association for companies that offer entrepreneurial opportunities to independent sellers to market and sell products and services, typically outside of a fixed retail establishment. In 2023, direct selling took place across the United States, generating $36.7 billion in retail sales, and 6.1 million entrepreneurs in the U.S. sold products or services through the direct selling channel, providing a personalized buying experience for 37.7 million customers. And that's a big old bucket of hooey. Hey, Sherry, how you doing? I mean, just looking at this, like, okay, who was actually buying? Oh, the people that were in the direct selling channel. Because, you know, you have to have this personal volume thing to be active and stuff. And so there's 6.1 million entrepreneurs. Are you talking about the entire time? Or are you looking at the churn rate also? I mean, they're not telling us these things. There's a lot of things about their numbers that they don't say. And that's a lot of the problem, is that the numbers are deceiving because they leave things out, just like every MLM does too. And that's it. That's it. So do you guys think that, you know, Carl could totally do this, don't you think? Maybe we should look at it. Maybe I should find some DSA video. Would you guys like to see a DSA video to see if Carl could do it too? Let me know in the chat if you're interested in that. And meanwhile, I'll look up to see list of member directory. Who did you? Nilo Life. Okay. Nilo Life. No, they are not. And, you know, Nilo Life is, yeah, I think you know how I feel about that. They're kind of sketch, in my opinion. View pending applicants. Oh, let me see. Who? Oh, damn it. I have to be able to log in. Damn it. And I'm sure as heck not going to be, you know, paying for any of that. Sure, why not? Okay, let me see what I can find here. Let me see what I can find. Give me a moment here and I'll just look around because, you know, why not? Do you think Carl could take this role even after trash talking MLM? Yeah, I do. Because he would just turn around and, say like, well, that was MLM. We're talking about direct selling. And that's what he would do. Direct selling is different. Direct selling isn't MLM. He would come up with a way to spin it. Because remember, BODi is a member of the DSA. So, he's in good standing with this bullshit, All right, so all right. Let's see. Oh, here's something from a direct selling 411. Gosh, that's something from 10 years ago. Is there anything from, when we just find direct selling association? There really should be something, I would think, that would be more recent. Oh, former President Clinton's remark to the Direct Selling Association. That's from 15 years ago. Well, here, this is only 1 minute of Joe. Well, let's see if we can just find something with Joe in it. Can I find anything in here? The American Dream with Joe Mariano, and this is from 4 years ago at the Action Catalyst, but it looks like when he was much younger. And there's another one with Eric Worre. Let's see. Okay, I think we're going to look at this one because it's about 30 minutes long. Okay, so you guys, we're going to play that game of can you hear it when I share this? I know you guys love to play that game. Oh, hello, Queen. I'm not a fan either. But I think Carl could totally take over Joe's, reign since he's like, stepping down and everything. Totally think he could do that. All right. So you guys are going to have to let me know if you can hear this. So you're going to have to put it in the, chat and all that stuff. I think Carl would be good at working in a sports equipment store, like selling golf clubs. Oh my gosh, you know what? But the thing is, I think if he was like selling golf clubs or something, and it probably well deserved, is people would go in there and recognize him and then want to beat the fuck out of him with the golf clubs. You're like, you stole years from me. My wife never made money from you. Okay, here we go. Let me know if you can hear it. Could you hear anything? Let me know. Let me know. Is it me or does the DSA do more harm than good? Nope, Beth, that's basically what I was saying. And DTI says, I think, okay, I already read yours. How do you recommend some shake? No, you can't hear it. Okay. Well, then I'm going to have to move things around. This is always a fun game. Okay, give me just a second. And did you guys see my video earlier? I did have a video go out today about those Canadian robots. in case, you did not see it, you need to check it out. It's pretty short. You should totally check it out. It's under 6 minutes. You did that with a fun thing, wasn't it? And I will have to say thank you very much to, having an informer share that with me. All right, so now I'm going to try this again. Dang it, and I always have to then do something janky over here. Everything ends up being just janky as heck for me. Oh. I swear, I need like 20 other screens, but I don't have them. I don't have 20 other screens. So we'll just see what we can do here. All right, are you ready for the fun game? Can you hear it? Let me know.
Southwestern family of companies. Well,
StreamYard video hasn't been working for you lately. Beth, are you going to leave StreamYard like me? Because I'm sure as heck not going to pay what they want me to start paying now. You can hear it? Yes. All right. Here we go. So this should be fun. Let's see if Carl could do this. Because I'm still saying Carl could do this. Carl could take over Joe's job.
Welcomes you to the Action Catalyst. Each week, our diversely and amazingly accomplished guests share their insights and inspirations to help us ignite our own. So let's invest attention together to breathe, to reflect and refocus, and decisively defeat that voice we call Mr. Mediocrity. Then let's enjoy moving forward to make a positive difference in our world. Privileged to be your host. This is Dan Moore.
Today, Dan Moore interviews Joseph Mariano. Joseph joined the Direct Selling Association, DSA, in 1985 and assumed the role of president in 2011. Previously, he was executive vice president and chief operating officer. DSA is the 109-year-old not-for-profit national trade organization representing approximately 250 direct sales firms and their 26.2 million independent salespeople.
And you heard that the amount of firms over like 200 and stuff, and then all of the people who are part of that. Long-time scammer. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Joe. Leave that up there for a while.
Joseph serves as Chief Executive Officer of the association with ultimate responsibility for all association programs and activities. He is charged with providing progressive association, leadership, development, and implementation of association policies in the fields of government, consumer, and international affairs. He has been responsible for representing the association's interests in all 50 state capitals and on Capitol Hill. Joseph also serves as president of the Direct Selling Education Foundation. He is admitted to practice law in the state of Maryland and before the Supreme Court of the United States. He has authored numerous articles and been a contributor to publications on direct selling and government affairs. Enjoy this episode.
Everyone, welcome to the Action Catalyst. This is Dan Moore, and today I have a particular personal privilege. I'm talking to Mr. Joseph Mariano, who is the president of the Direct Selling Association. For those of you who don't know much about the Direct Selling Association, they are the voice, they are the heart, and they are the spirit of a channel of distribution that involves more than 15 million people, making a huge difference in their lives and the lives of their customers. And Joe?
Wrong. They're not making a huge difference in the lives of their customers. What they're doing, though, is like sucking the souls and sucking money out of the pockets of the people who actually join these things. That's actually what's going on, in my opinion. I mean, you guys may have a different opinion, A lawyer, he's one of the reasons there are jokes about them. Exactly.
Has been a servant of the industry for many, many years, and we're delighted to pick his brains, learn from his expertise. So, Joe, welcome to the Action Catalyst.
Thank you, Dan. It's my pleasure to.
Oh, interesting. So there's 130 members now. So yeah, so it has shrunk. Well, that's actually good to see, right? That there's less members now. Because maybe they're seeing like, hey, people aren't really interested in this kind of poop anymore. And, the more people who actually leave, meaning companies and everything, right? So many words have been ruined for me by MLMs. Same, so many words that I see, and it's a trigger, and I just see red. What can I say? I feel like Morgan from The Walking Dead. I see red.
Join you
Beth,
for
I
a
agree
few
with you
minutes
on
and
that
chat
one.
about a few things. I have great admiration for you, so I look forward to just a nice dialogue.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Now, Joe, I believe that you were born as a lawyer. Is that correct?
I'm a recovering lawyer, as they say. Sometimes I feel like that. Some of my friends accuse me of putting them on the witness chair sometimes, but yeah, lawyer's a lawyer is a lawyer.
Well, we'd love to learn a bit about some of the most significant pivots in your career, things that eventually led you to this amazing position of leadership that you're in today.
I've been fortunate. I've been at the association, the Direct Selling Association, since 1985. And in today's world, it's pretty unusual for anybody to be around 30 plus.
It seems like, as soon as he graduated, he just kind of became part of this. Is it just me? He just seemed like he just snuck right on in. Must have known somebody or something. Because usually, you get in things by knowing people and stuff.
Years in one job. I never expected to be here for that long period of time, but I grew to love it. Made friends like yourself throughout the industry. More importantly, I really felt as though I was able to grow throughout my career here and do a variety of different things. So you talk about pivots in the career. I mean, the first point of the career here was to join as a young attorney. I came on board as a staff person looking to get involved in Washington, D.C., where we're headquartered in politics and government, and this was a perfect opportunity to do that. I had looked for the opportunity to.
So interesting how they're headquartered in Washington, isn't it? Kind of gives you an idea what they're really all about.
To really serve in government, and this was, I thought, another way of being in a related field. And in fact, that was great because I was able to interact with policymakers and people who were interested and involved in politics in a variety of different ways. And then I saw, of course, as I matured and grew into the position, that there were a lot of other opportunities in the association to grow my career, to do different things, to be engaged in meeting planning, to write, to, yes, still be a lawyer and work up on Capitol Hill or even at the Supreme Court. Even as I then began to learn the direct selling business and make presentations in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people. So all these things came together over a period of time. I worked for a very long time with a person that's now my friend and mentor, Neil Offen, who was president of the association. When I joined, he had already been at DSA for quite a while. And then we grew together in our careers. I grew up in DSA and direct selling and under his leadership. When he decided to retire after being at the association for, 40, 45 years, something like that, many of which had been as president, he was gracious enough to suggest me as his successor, and I was able to take that role. Neil retired and left me here for a very challenging period of time for the industry and the association, but it was a wonderful opportunity to further expand my skills, to learn more, and as well as take advantage of the things that I had experienced in the previous 20 years or so at the association. So within that period of time, there were many, many changes, which I'm sure we can talk about both within the association and in my personal life, which really informed my process and my growth.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things we have in common, besides our love for what direct selling can do for people, is we both worked under a very strong and charismatic long-term leader.
Yeah.
In my case, it was Jerry Heffel, and he was my direct lead for about 30 years.
Yeah.
Very similar to your tenure with Neil. Can you share your insights on what it takes to be a very effective number two? In other words, how to keep your ego out of it, how to keep mission first and foremost, to help, as somebody once said, swing the boss's axe as necessary, be that sounding board, be objective. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think we've got a lot of listeners in that role.
Well, yeah, you're right. It is a particularly challenging role in some ways, but I think it's a great role as well. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. And the reason I enjoyed that role was because even while you were supporting your leader, in my case, the president, it was an opportunity to influence and work with him, collaborate in his thinking, but also let him be the risk taker in terms of presenting the ideas, and you, or in my case, as myself, sitting behind the scenes in a sense, having an influence on the policies and the decisions that he was making, and yet not having to bear the entire brunt of that, frankly. And that was an advantageous position to be in. On the other hand, it's also a little bit frustrating, because I think anybody who has any ambition really wants to ultimately be the person out there, the person on the playing field, if you will, in front of the stadium. Use a baseball analogy today, since we're in the midst of the World Series as we speak, or the championship series.
You're not really that close to the Nationals, though. Across the street, basically.
I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan anyway, but yeah, the Nationals are right in it, I must say. They're all waiting for the World Series. But yeah, so you really want to be on the field playing, and sometimes you feel like you're in the dugout, waiting, maybe even to pinch hit. And that can be a little bit of a frustration, but you know that you're having an impact on the game, to torture the analogy. And so I think that was really quite something. I had this discussion recently with regard to another one of our companies in the direct selling industry, where the same circumstance as you and I have experienced existed. And that was where it wasn't so much working underneath a mentor or leader for so many years, but it was succeeding that leader. And I asked the person who took on this new role as CEO of a huge Fortune 500 corporation, what is it like coming to work every day knowing that you're succeeding a 30-plus year legend in the industry? And in fact, not just succeeding that legend, but walking by a bronze larger-than-life statue standing outside the building, which is named for that CEO, as you walk into your office, right? And the person who succeeded this legend of their business said, well, you take advantage of both the wisdom of that person, but you also take advantage of the moment to exercise change and to make sure that you put your own stamp on things, and which is your personal stamp and your personal style. And that if you try to be that person, in my case, if I tried to be Neil Offman, my former president, I wouldn't succeed. Now, I may not succeed as myself either, but I know for sure that if I try to be that person, then it would not be a successful exercise.
Right. Yeah, you got to be comfortable in your own skin and still honor the traditions, honor the lessons, honor the learnings, which is amazing. Now,
well, if I can add something,
sure.
Because I got a great piece of advice. When I took the role here at the association as president, I did a listening tour, if you will. I went around the country to various groups of executives within the direct selling business, CEOs and others. And I sat down, I'll use his name. I think it's a fair thing to do. I sat down with Doug DeVos, then president and CEO of the Amway Corporation. Doug as well.
Wow. Sat down with a DeVos. Yeah, that should tell you something right there.
Has somewhat different circumstance. He had succeeded his brother, and his father had been co-president essentially of that company for many years. A little bit different circumstance when you're dealing with your family members, but he still gave me a great piece of advice, which again I've tried to stick to over these years, and that was just be yourself. Don't try to be something and somebody you're not, especially the person who preceded you.
Right. Now, digging a little bit deeper, knowing Neil and knowing you, I'm sure that there were some spirited disagreements that went on behind closed doors about policy, direction, strategy, etc. But once a decision was reached, what do you think is the most important thing for that number two person to do after that?
Oh, it's to go out publicly and disagree and make sure that everybody... Obviously, I'm being facetious. Look, in any policy position, whether it's here in the United States government with the White House and the administration, or whether it's in a business endeavor or a not-for-profit trade association like our own, you have to recognize the folks who have been charged with the ultimate decision-making responsibility and authority. And I think you're absolutely right. Your question implies the role of the number two, or people who are otherwise in the organization. And that is, you have to be able, behind closed doors, to express your opinion and to disagree, and disagree strongly. That's your role, not only with your president in my case, but as I deal with the board of directors as well. Part of my role as an association executive and president of the association is to serve our membership and our board of directors, our chairman of the board. And I say to each chairman who comes aboard, look, it's part of my job as president to advise you, to let you know where the pitfalls are, and to sometimes say things to you that you may not want to hear. And the model that I use for that in dealing with our chairman of the board is exactly the model that we're talking about when you're a number two and dealing with your CEO or your president. You have to be able to speak honestly. And sometimes that's a very uncomfortable position, notwithstanding that everybody understands or should understand that that's your role. Because it's not easy to disagree, right? Even when it's a strongly felt point. And it's not easy to say to somebody, I think you're wrong. But to get to your earlier point, it's that much easier when everybody understands that that advice, that counsel is done behind closed doors. And no matter the decision, when it's made, you will support it and will be strongly in support of that decision. Honestly, and you have to take that and recognize that there's no monopoly on wisdom for any of us, right? No matter how strongly I feel about something doesn't mean I'm right. I may believe that I'm right, but I recognize the authority and the responsibility of the president to make that decision. So that's the approach.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, because undermining is one of the best ways to destroy an organization in a hurry. And the backbiting and the criticism, again, we have to have environments where people are totally free to disagree, but once that point of decision is reached, we're on board and move forward.
Well, not to be too political, but since we are here in Washington, D.C., and this is sort of some of the things that I deal with every day or observe interacting with government, you're absolutely right. I mean, the most destructive thing I think for any government, any administration is just that. And I think that is translatable to business. And you see it particularly in a government situation frequently. People with their own agendas, their own power agendas for their own self-aggrandizement, they'll leak to the press, they'll agree, but they won't really agree. And you're right, it's extraordinarily damaging and destructive.
Right. Well, at the family level, the same thing can happen. Like the child says, oh, Dad, this is terrible. Oh, I'll work on your mother. It'll be all right. It's like, it's amazing. Now, along the way, with so many changes in the industry, because you deal with not only market changes, product changes, technology changes, international changes, and heavily daily regulatory changes, I'm sure there's times that you've been trucking along and you've hit a brick wall where you just unexpected, floored. What do we do next? What are some coping strategies or thought processes, Joe, that you can share with me and with our leaders for how to get around those seemingly insurmountable obstacles? Well,
the role of an association executive may be different than somebody in a for-profit corporation, or for that matter in government. I'm not sure, but I believe that the lessons that I've absorbed from people in my community here, as well as Neil and others over the years, are probably translatable to every situation and every circumstance when you meet that obstacle, that hurdle that you're talking about. And there are tremendous changes over 30 years in any organization, and in our case, any industry that I represent, a business model. There have been several, in fact, and we're going through some right now with transitions in the economy and the like. First, I'm going to harken back to something I said a moment ago. You have to recognize that one, does not have a monopoly on wisdom. And as strongly as you might feel about an issue, and as experienced and knowledgeable as you may think you are in an industry, in my case, or a business, you don't know everything. You don't know what you don't know, as they say, and even when you know it, you can be wrong. And so I think you have to recognize that you need to open yourself up to a variety of different thinking and different approaches. And that's a somewhat humbling experience, but it's also an empowering experience when you finally recognize that you don't know everything. And in an association, what one has to do is build consensus and agreement among a diverse set of constituencies. In our case, different types of businesses with different compensation models, different product lines and the like. And that requires an openness to new ideas and to get out of sort of the box that you may have put yourself in. And that, I think, is important particularly important when you face these hurdles. In my instance, right now, I'll use a contemporary example. You mentioned regulation. We're dealing with a somewhat uncertain regulatory environment. And we've been dealing with these questions for years. And that's been part of my career and part of my job. And yet, I think what we are trying to do now as we face yet a new regulatory challenge or potential regulatory challenge is to say, okay, well, let's start thinking about things differently. Let's not react, I'll use the term autonomically, reflexively, because that's the way we reacted the last 10, 15, 30 years. Let's make sure we're evaluating our own reactions, our own beliefs, before we kind of just fall into that pattern. Because if the pattern hasn't been successful, if what you've done in the past has not allowed you to respond as effectively as you would like to respond, then I think you need not only to stop beating your head against that wall and being depressed about it, you need to think about, okay, what can we do differently? How might we change our position?
Is it just me, or are you finding him to be a bit annoying? Because I'm just like, one, I don't think he doesn't command the audience. I think he's kind of boring the way he speaks. Carl is more entertaining than he is. So Carl could easily do this job because he's by far more engaging, in my opinion. Because I just think that he's pretty much a snooze fest in terms of listening to him. You may have a point here and there, I guess, but it's very hard for me to pay attention to him because I'm like falling asleep, because it's like he's so kind of monotone and doesn't have any excitement in his voice. Is that just me, or do you guys feel like that too? Let me know in chat.
How might we change our strategy? That seems self-evident, but I think it's harder for people to do once they've gotten to a position of authority or power.
Not just
in my instance, we talked about being here 30 years, and you've been at your position for quite a while as well, and certainly with the company for quite a while. And one of the things that I've found that is the most challenging is to force myself out of a pattern of thinking and a pattern of behavior. Well, we did that back in 1985 and it didn't work. Well, we tried that strategy. Yeah, that's a great idea, but no, it's not going to work. I don't think you can allow yourself to fall into that kind of a pattern and rut. Again, perhaps it's self-evident, and identifying that challenge is the first thing that you must do. But then once you've identified it, you've got to work against it. And I'm sorry to go on about this, but I've been talking about it to some of my colleagues here in the association, as well as to some of our members as we sort of figure out our strategy going forward. I think another thing to do is to make sure that you, as the CEO, are open to that kind of thinking and challenge from your internal colleagues.
Let's see if I can. Hey there, Angel. How are you doing? Yes, he lacks charisma. It's evident he thinks he is hot stuff. Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, I think he thinks like, yeah, I'm bringing it. Ooh, look at me go. But I'm like going, you're not. You're not. You're just not, sir. You're just not. Let me see if I have something pretty short here, because I think it'd be interesting to even hear Carl. I'm going to look at some stuff, not today, but I think we need to go back and look at some things that Carl said in the past, because I think that's really important to hear what some of these people said not that long ago versus what they're saying now. You know what I mean? Let's see, how much is this one? Okay. Here's one of Carl that's going to be pretty short. It's like a 3-minute one. These other ones, let me see, it's too long. We're not going to sit here for all of that. Yeah, they're just too, how long is this one? Yeah, they're all too long. Too long. Oh, here's one. Okay. This is on Scotty Hobbs. Does anybody here know Scotty Hobbs? Scotty Hobbs was like a top coach, and I want to say that he was on Lindsay Matway's team. Lindsay, was top hun. I was under Miss Lindsay. So I think we can look at this. Scotty filmed this, and it's filmed on his phone, but I think it might be interesting just to hear what Carl had to say then. And now we can see, like, could Carl be the next president of the DSA? I think it'd be a good juxtaposition. Okay, so let me share this with you guys. Okay. So that's why, you're seeing it like the phone. So I apologize that it's not like a full, video. And now I can't pull this over to the other screen so I can see chat. I'm trying to look at the chat. Dang it. Here we go. Here we go. Exactly. At least Carl is a better speaker. And that's my point. It's like he can take over because at least he is more dynamic and everything, I mean, he may be annoying as fuck, but at least, he has energy to him or something. Whereas Joe is just kind of like, oh my gosh. I mean, I was like falling asleep. Jeez.
I don't mean 3 days of partying at Summit. But I'm talking about how we felt coming into Summit, tired with life. I know that's real for a lot of you. You've been tired. And you're allowed to feel tired. This is just called compassion for ourselves, letting ourselves be human in a world that we can't control. And while we're at it, let's all give ourselves a break for eating.
And guess what? There's no more Summit. And Summit was always their big thing, Every year I went to one. And I thought, I want to be one of those people walking across the stage. No, I am so glad. Oh my gosh. I would just talk about doing the walk of shame if I had been somebody who actually did that. Oh, I'm so glad that I never did.
Eating something because we really wanted to eat it, or taking a day or a week off our workouts, maybe because that's a healthy choice we really needed. Unless we find a way to be compassionate for ourselves, we won't be good at providing compassion to others. And that's part of coaching. That's how you reach your potential of creating a team that is cohesive.
There we go. Creating a team. And now we're no longer doing the teams.
Being that person who can have empathy, not just tough love, but compassion. And if we're going to constantly...
Carl, do you have compassion for all the people that you fired, Your actual employees at corporate? Do you have compassion for them? Do you have compassion for any of, even the little coaches that thought, they were going to make money and they were pouring all their heart and everything into this? Do you have any compassion for them? Or is it just that you have compassion for yourself and you're more concerned about the fact that you're bleeding money? You're not bleeding blue, you're bleeding green. Is that really what the problem has been?
Be judging ourselves, that'll turn into constantly judging others. And that's what's exhausting. That's also exactly what's undermining you from remembering your potential. Because how can you visualize your success when we're judging ourselves for every little thing these days and judging everybody else? There's no room for dreams when you're spending your time judging and competing. And this is what we need to change. We need to work toward our goals, absolutely. But we also need to be able to enjoy the process, and allow for different rates of success and ups and downs. Today, here's where it starts. I've hinted at things that are coming. I've hinted that there's going to be changes to the business model, things that will make it easier for coaches to pick this up and run.
2 years ago, changes to the business model. And now here we are again, and there's more changes. So the changes that he implemented at this time, we all know, it fell apart, didn't work. Again, he's been trying and trying and trying for a number of years to hold on to this empire. And no matter what he did, it didn't work. And right now, I still think he's trying to hold on to it, and it's not going to work.
With it. That's what I'm going to present at leadership this year, because I want to help you create more ups with less downs, more successes and less setbacks.
He wants more success for himself. He doesn't care about anyone else.
I'm working with a pretty amazing and experienced group of people who will help me put this together for us. And this shift I'm planning is going to help. But we're going to stop fighting with ourselves and with our expectations. We're going to simplify what coaches do. We'll simplify how we look at fitness and eating. We're not going to back off of the challenge of working out or the importance of helping people look consciously at what they eat, or relax any of the expectations that we have for the quality of our supplements. That's going to continue to be so good that they're in a category unto themselves. But we're going to refine it so that more people can immediately get it, pick up the baton and run with it. And we'll begin this shift now by doing this incredibly heroic work with a mindset which has more compassion and which broadens the appeal. So instead of convincing,
You see how he's trying to make people stay and be coaches? Because it's heroic work. What they're doing is heroic work by being part of a multi-level marketing company. Because at this time, that's exactly what it was. And I don't find anything about it being heroic. I certainly don't find a CEO getting up here knowing that most people are not making a dime out of being involved in this as being heroic. I find it quite disgusting.
people to participate. Next year, they're going to be asking you if they can participate. And it's funny.
Oh, wow. And, you know, that really didn't age well, did it? Because less people are even interested in it. And there he was, like, oh, more people are going to be asking you about. Nope, that didn't happen.
But the transition I'm talking about actually started last December. And in fact, it's been happening all year. I just didn't really identify it until a couple months ago. But it started with the launch of Job One, where we began to message the importance of making yourself, your health, your priority, at least 20 minutes a day. Tens of thousands of you have done that. Then the launch of the special eating program, To Be Pregnant, from Alana, where we continue.
Right, Magical Nev, at least he's got energy. And that's what I was talking about. He can totally take over the DSA. He's got some fucking energy. Joe did not. And you say he's dry. Yeah, I mean, that was just like, man, you know, watching paint dry was going to be far more entertaining than listening to him babble. I don't know how anybody can listen to Joe. Yep, I would agree with you, Queen. I most certainly would.
To provide resources for people at different stages of life. In this case, they're making an actual human being. We gave people new tools for a healthy pregnancy. And we continued to see this transition with 4-week gut protocol and 4 weeks for everybody, where autumn.
Oh my gosh, the business meetings. I would just actually love to find one. I mean, we need to take shots or something. We need to do something to like entertain ourselves in some way. Exactly. Our Joe is fantastic. We love our Joe. You're absolutely right about that. But Joe from the DSA, boring.
Once again, puts herself way out there, fighting to make an exceptionally complex issue simple so our coaches can embrace it. And she created this simple gateway to getting answers about how food might be affecting your well-being in so many different ways. And we gave people 4 weeks to change their pace with no impact in their workout program. That still challenges you and gets results. And it's nothing short of a phenomenon that people will repeat over and over again.
But did they? I have a feeling that didn't happen. Because again, look where we are now, Carl. Look where you are right now. 2 years later. Scrambling.
People question this as we move from measuring everything by the quality of the before and after photo toward how our products make you feel and how they enhance your life. Some ask us, hey, what happened to the P90X company, the weight loss company? And now, first thing and last thing come along to help people with stress, immunity, feeling sharp, sleeping better. What's Beachbody about that? See the theme here? This is moving from a business turning out before and afters to a business moving into a space of self-care, self-esteem, and enjoyment.
Oh my gosh, laying it on thick. So it's not about losing weight, it's about self-care. So what is it about now? Because I don't know what you're spinning it as now. I don't remember. Did he spin it as something else? Because I'm sure because he sounds like the spin doctor here.
Of the actual
Self-love. I mean, Joe, you said it. I was thinking it.
experience of well-being. Let's not forget Fire and Flow. Total innovation, where we listened to the subscribers and gave them a revolutionary approach to balancing exercise intensity with self-love and recovery, to balance tension with reflection. We're changing the human experience of what the very concept of health and fitness means, and we're just getting started.
We're just getting started, and here we are 2 years later, and it's petering out. And that start really didn't seem like it went anywhere, does it? Kind of seemed like they're like, we're just starting, and then flop.
Now, we look ahead to Lift More, a program that is actually predictable for Beachbody in many ways. This seems like something that would come from the Beachbody company. Yet again, what's radically different is how we approach it. The before and afters are amazing, but what's miraculous is the experience. Couples working out together, celebrating the feeling of lifting heavy things, even the commitment to consistency by placing a bench at the center of your home workout space. We're not making money on the bench, and we could have rounded the corner and made it easier to sell more by saying, the bench is optional, but that would have undermined the quality of the experience. We're demonstrating that this decision is more than about what you can achieve in 8 weeks. It's about how you and your customers experience the process on your way to achieving your potential. We want that experience to be amazing. So you need a bench for stabilization and to help you see how much more weight you can lift and how different your results are when you lift more. And that's how we're helping empower people to make this a lifestyle, by focusing on the experience, not just
But here's the problem with that, is that there's a lot of people who are doing this on their own, and they don't have anybody in person who can let them know that their form is like off, and that their form could be actually causing them harm that they may not feel today. Like with a personal trainer who will tell you, hey, yeah, you need to move this way. Or it's like, oh, you're putting too much weight on this. They're going to fix you. They're going to move your body around. But this, they don't care about that apparently. A regular bench just won't do. Yep, you need a Beachbody bench. Nothing regular will do, because I tell you what, around 2017, that's when every single program that there were, different equipment was needed. And there was one that was like, and I don't remember what it was called, but you needed to have like these little things on the ground and you'd like jump to them. I got Post-it notes. I wasn't going to buy some equipment to have these things. I thought that was stupid. And I certainly wasn't going to convince other people that they needed to have those things too. It was like those only went with that one program. And that's what I really was like, all you're doing is making programs that cost more by adding in all these extra materials. And I just always felt that you were cheating people more by doing that. Because when it was something like size, all you needed to do was get up and dance. But you moved away from that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden it was about all the little who's that you needed to have, including those damn containers.
Outcome. But look, the reality of working in this environment over the last year is undeniable, even as we make this transition. And I know people are tired. Employees are tired. Many of
Oh, those employees, you don't have to worry about that now, do you? Let go of 33% of them.
don't feel empowered. Hopefully, Summit will help that. Many people are scared. What's happening in the world? It's exhausting trying to keep up when everything around us is unpredictable and changing. So,
kind of like the fact that people thought that Beachbody, BODi, whatever, was going to be around forever, and that they were going to be able to create these teams and have these teams like forever, and you took that away. Okay.
Here's how you get untied.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for being here.
Here's how you get control of the fear that might be paralyzing you or your team. So instead, you can start thriving again. First, by thriving energetically and emotionally, and then thriving in terms of feeling empowered to grow your business and get back to dreaming again. Here it is. You need to let go of the past. Let go of the way things were. And fiercely, aggressively accept that things are different. Social media is different. The world is always changing. We don't know what the next variant is going to be. We don't know how this economic shift is going to affect our plans. But we know what we see today. We know people want to feel good and they want to feel healthy. We know that. And if we embrace that reality and get creative without expecting things to go back, we can affect positive change. And in fact, we can even benefit from this environment. The one thing we do know is we can control the things we can control and how we react to the things.
And dare I say that 2022, dare I say, that Ash could really take a note or lift a page from Carl's playbook, because he's at least engaging. He may be full of shit, but at least he's engaging. And you can understand what he's saying, unlike Ash, which is a whole lot of like, now you got to try to figure out what's coming out of his mouth, which is always a bunch of word salad and complete garbage.
We can. That's where you either give away your power or you claim your power. Stop letting the events of the past and the events of the present, which are out of your control, undermine your power. Take the energy that you spend feeling defeated by the past or disappointed by how things may have evolved for you, and instead assess the current situation, remember your outrageous potential, and respond with creativity, respond with resilience. This is where champions rise up. And when we rise up and control the things we can control, our attitudes, our schedules, our choices, our belief in what we do and who we are, we help other people do the same. Some people on social media call you tone deaf, or they'll criticize your defiant, positive attitude because they've chosen the pain of trying to blame the world for their financial condition.
Oh gosh, there they go. There they go. He's got to blame people who are not down with, his vision. Everybody else, if they're not with you, they're against you, and they're horrible people. We know all about that.
Expecting someone to come fix it for them. These are the haters. Because they've decided that they're going to wait for somebody to come help them. And if nobody comes and helps them, they're going to...
Who in the hell here is waiting for someone to come and help them? I know my people in the chat aren't. I know these people, Carl. And what you're saying is a big old bucket of hooey. But that's what you're programming your people with. So they believe and follow you and your pattern of thinking, and they cling on to that, and then they repeat it. And they really come to believe this. And that's really sad and scary. And then they're putting down people who have actual jobs that pay wages and they have benefits and all of that. And meanwhile, what do they have now, Carl? Oh, that'd be nothing.
Criticize anybody who's taking their own initiative. So they resent the people who took the initiative to work to create something better. They've chosen to stay trapped. And they can't accept your choice to create your future. But they aren't you. They don't control you. And you are not trying to change them. Your job is to look at the current situation, remember your potential, your ambition, and control the things you can control with fierce determination. And I do mean fierce. Let me repeat what Julie said. I want the other women who are there, who are tired, who don't know how to juggle all of the things, who don't know how they'll take one more day of bad news, of feeling less than in this world, to feel like this business is their hope.
And why is it just women? Why did you say women? Why didn't you say people? That was very sexist. That bothered me.
Their solution, their way to make a difference for their families and communities. And I believe this business is the solution. It is the hope.
Oh, you believed in it so much that it's the hope, it's the solution, that you abandoned it. Huh, funny how that worked out.
And men. You know why? Because I've watched enough of you do it to know that it's possible. So I know the difference is attitude and belief, the courage to work.
Also, does that mean that your attitude changed in some way and that you no longer believed in it, Carl? Is that what happened? And that's why, you dropped the whole, MLM thing?
Through relationship struggles rather than cancel people. If you have the courage to be vulnerable and humble enough to forgive and be compassionate toward people, you have the courage and resilience to let go of the past, to take full responsibility for your outcome and move forward in your power. Hey, look, you had the courage to get here. You didn't have to come here. And I'm not throwing shade at people who couldn't make it for so many reasons. But still, you guys got here. Take that in for a minute. You're here. You haven't quit. And even though
No, they haven't quit. What they have done is spent a fuck ton of money to make it there to Summit, to fly there, to pay for their own meals, to pay for the hotel, to pay for their ticket to attend Summit, to then go to the swag shop and buy the stuff there, because you don't even give Shakeology free at any of the events, not Super Saturday, surely not at Summits. You don't give anything free. You have to pay for that. And it's $5 for a small cup of Shakeology. That's what you had to pay. You don't give anything to anyone. You take. That's all you did.
you may be tired, even though you feel like you can't take one more day of bad news. With all that's going on, you have not quit on this. You have not quit on yourself. Take that in for a moment. Give yourself a round of applause. You don't quit. You have not given up.
And as long as they didn't quit, as long as they were still buying, that's all he cared about. Because again, they're the customer. All of these people at Summit, which it doesn't look like it's really that well attended. But anyway, all these people there, they're the customers.
On yourself. You showed up.
Oh my gosh, there's really hardly anybody there compared to when I went, which it was like wall-to-wall people. Wow, that's just wow.
And I don't think you will ever quit because you want something more. And that's how we get to that third goal and the hope that Julie expressed. I put up a post the other day asking coaches why they coach. What problem are they trying to solve for themselves? And I got over 1,000 replies. But in general, there were two themes that came up. One, the top why was income. Okay, I want to generate more income for myself. And the second, it was close second, was to prove you have more to offer the world. Now let's take a hard look at that. Because while I understand the sentiment of being tired, I get it. And there's a reason I keep coming back to it, because I know it's playing on repeat in the back of your mind, especially once you leave here. That'll be an emotion that comes back. I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. I really do understand the sentiment of feeling tired and overwhelmed. People ask me how I keep going, even though surely I'm tired and overwhelmed sometimes.
For the money.
Here's how I keep going. I made the decision that no matter what, I keep going. Look, I don't think these two ideas can coexist. My ambition, like the ambition you showed me in your replies to that Instagram post of wanting to earn more income and to prove you have more to offer the world, I don't think that can coexist with any expectation that it won't also be overwhelming and tiring sometimes. I know for me, I can feel the sense of being tired constantly sneaking up on me like a snake in the room. And I can feel the frustration of a business that went public a year ago and a market which has wiped out 90% of the value.
Oh, that was it.
Did you know that one of the first written records
there's
of gossip
Bailey again.
goes all the way?
Well, Bailey always pops up. Not sure why she always pops up, but I do love Bailey. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. So don't you think that, Carl could totally take over for Joe since, Joe has stepped down? I mean, I think so. I mean, we already saw that Carl is a much better speaker than Joe. Not our Joe, but, Joe from the DSA. So now that's just what I wanted to share for you, is the little news that, Joe is stepping down, and hey, Carl could get another job once Beachbody fully folds, which, I really am expecting that to happen. It may not this year, but it would next year maybe, or the year after. Exactly, Joe. He'll be looking for a new job. Well, guys, I'm going to get down on the go-go. I do have Mr. Chalupa right next to me. He's just all cuddle-bugged, and little Miss Salsa is under the fluffy blanket by my feet, all curled up there, being ever so sweet. I want to thank everybody who participated in the chat, and to the lurkers as well. Anybody who was in the catch-up crew, whoop, whoop to you, and a whoop, whoop to anybody who was in the replay crew. Thank you so much for being here, and I will be back. I'm not sure when, but I will be, because I do have other ideas, and we'll definitely be reacting some more to the bro bots, because there's more stuff about those damn bro bots to discuss. But you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and don't forget, you're beautiful, and I love you. Until next time, I'll see you then. Mwah. Bye now. Have a good one.